What if I told you the reason your birthday feels emotionally empty isn't because you stopped caring? It's because somewhere along the way, your mind learned not to expect too much anymore. So now the messages come in. People smile. Maybe there's cake. But inside, it feels like just another day. And if that feeling sounds a little too familiar, this video might explain a part of you you've never been able to put into words. And maybe, understanding that story, some people cry on their birthday, some people celebrate, and some people feel absolutely nothing. No excitement, no joy, no sadness either. Just another day. And the strange part? You don't even know why. Because birthdays are supposed to mean something, right? People text you. Maybe your family calls. Maybe there's cake, photos, smiles, fake laughter. But deep down, it feels emotionally empty. Almost like your brain checked out before the day even started. And if you've ever sat there wondering, why do I feel so disconnected on the one day that's supposed to feel special? This video might explain something about yourself that nobody ever put into words before. Because the truth is, feeling nothing on your birthday usually has nothing to do with the birthday itself. When you were younger, birthdays felt different. Not because life was better, but because your mind still believed something meaningful was waiting for you. Attention, love, excitement, connection. A birthday used to feel like proof that you mattered. People remembered you, looked at you differently, celebrated your existence. But somewhere along the way, that feeling disappeared. And now, the day arrives. And emotionally, it barely touches you. You wake up, check your phone, reply to messages, maybe even smile for other people. But inside, nothing moves. And most people think this means they're ungrateful, cold, emotionally numb. But that's not what's happening. Not even close. Here's something strange about the human mind. When emotions get disappointed too many times, they stop showing up loudly. Not because they disappeared, but because they learn silence feels safer. A lot of people who feel nothing on their birthday are actually people who used to feel too much. They were the kids who secretly hoped someone would make them feel important. The teenagers who waited for certain people to text them. The adults who kept expecting emotional closeness and kept getting emotional distance instead. So eventually, their brain adapted. It stopped expecting, because expectations can hurt. And birthdays? They magnify expectations. Even the small ones. You expect someone to remember. Someone to care more than usual. Someone to make you feel seen. And when life repeatedly teaches you not to rely on those moments, your emotions slowly stop investing in the day altogether. Not because you don't care, but because part of you learned it's easier to feel nothing than to feel disappointed again. Pause for a second. Think about your last birthday. What emotion did you actually feel the most? Was it happiness? Or pressure? Pressure to reply to everyone. Pressure to act grateful. Pressure to seem okay. Pressure to pretend the day mattered more than it did. A lot of people don't hate birthdays. They hate the emotional performance attached to them. The forced smiling. The awkward attention. The reminder of relationships that changed. The people who used to care but don't anymore. Birthdays have a weird way of exposing emotional distance. And sometimes, that's the real reason the day feels heavy. There's also another layer nobody talks about. Birthdays force you to measure your life. Even if you don't mean to. You start comparing yourself to the version of you that you thought you'd become by this age. You thought you'd be happier by now. More successful. More loved. More certain. And when reality doesn't match the image in your head, your birthday stops feeling like a celebration. It starts feeling like evidence. Evidence that time is moving. Whether you feel ready or not. That's why some people suddenly feel exhausted on their birthday for no reason. It's not the age. It's the silent self-evaluation happening underneath it. Your mind starts replaying everything. Where am I in life? Who stayed? Who left? What changed? Did I become the person I wanted to become? And sometimes, those questions are heavier than the celebration itself. But here's the part that gets even deeper. Some emotionally sensitive people struggle with birthdays because they've spent most of their life feeling emotionally unseen. Not ignored physically. Emotionally unseen. There's a difference. People knew your name, talked to you, maybe even loved you, but very few people truly understood you. So when your birthday comes around, the attention can feel strangely empty. Because attention without emotional connection doesn't actually satisfy the heart. Hundreds of messages can still feel lonely when none of them make you feel genuinely known. And that's a painful realization, especially when everyone assumes birthdays are supposed to heal loneliness. Sometimes they actually expose it. You know what's ironic? The people who feel the least on their birthdays are often the people who think the deepest about life. They notice things others don't. The effort behind conversations. The energy behind words. The difference between obligation and genuine care. So surface-level attention doesn't emotionally reach them anymore. Their mind automatically asks, do they actually mean it? Would they care if it wasn't my birthday? Do people love me? Or are they just following a social ritual? And once your brain starts questioning emotional authenticity, it becomes harder to fully enjoy performative moments, even happy ones. But there's one more reason this feeling happens. And this one is uncomfortable. Some people disconnect emotionally from birthdays because they disconnect emotionally from themselves. They've spent so long surviving, overthinking, people-pleasing, carrying invisible stress, that they stopped feeling connected to their own existence. So when the day arrives that's supposed to celebrate them, it feels strangely unfamiliar. Almost like, how am I supposed to celebrate someone I barely even feel connected to anymore? That silence you feel on your birthday? Sometimes it's not sadness. It's emotional exhaustion. The kind that builds slowly over years. The kind nobody notices. Because you still function normally on the outside. Pause again for a moment. Imagine talking to your younger self. The version of you who used to get excited for birthdays. What changed? Was it age? Or was it the way life slowly taught you to expect less emotionally? Because most emotionally numb birthdays don't happen overnight. They're built from quiet disappointments, forgotten moments, unspoken loneliness, relationships fading, growing up too fast, feeling emotionally responsible for everyone else, learning not to ask for too much, until eventually, your brain stops attaching emotion to the day at all. But this is important. Feeling nothing on your birthday doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. And it doesn't mean you're incapable of happiness. Sometimes it simply means your emotional world became too guarded, too careful, too used to protecting itself. The mind is smart like that. If certain emotions repeatedly lead to pain, it lowers the volume on them. Not to destroy you, to protect you. And maybe, instead of asking, why don't I feel happy on my birthday? The better question is, when did I stop feeling emotionally safe enough to feel excited in the first place? Because that changes everything. Now it's no longer about the birthday. It's about the emotional experiences that shaped you long before it. One day, you might experience a birthday that feels different. Not because of money, or parties, or attention, but because you finally feel emotionally connected again. To yourself, to someone else, to your life. And when that happens, even the smallest moment can feel meaningful. A quiet conversation, a genuine hug, one honest message, one peaceful evening. Because real emotional fulfillment has never been about the size of the celebration. It's about feeling real while living it. So if your birthday feels emotionally empty this year, Don't rush to judge yourself for it. Your feelings are trying to tell a deeper story. A story about expectations, disappointment, growth, loneliness, protection, and emotional survival. And maybe, understanding that story is the first step toward feeling something real again.